What is up, guys? Sin on Twitch here. Just wanted to drop in and do a quick little video on my thoughts regarding the new exotic kinetic fusion rifle, Bastion, in Destiny 2 Shadowkeep Season of Dawn. This weapon was made available early to us by Bungie through a really complex puzzle that the community has been working on since Tuesday at reset. This is now Monday, almost a week later, 1/20/2020 at the time of recording. I have some thoughts on this gun. This isn't a video that's going to be about this isn't going to be a podcast style video or a rant video about my thoughts regarding the fact the weapon was our reward. It's going to be more about how my predictions for the weapon, where it's going to go, like how we're going to utilize it best, and kind of just give some thoughts on where does this weapon exactly fit? Like, why, we have other weapons in slot that's, pack a heavier punch, so where does this weapon fit? And I have an answer to that. It doesn't. This weapon does not necessarily fit into the meta at all. PvP, it's good, but you have to get in real close. In PvE, it's good for breaking shields, but that's about it. This weapon isn't exactly a boss buster, but that doesn't mean it's not a fun weapon to use. If anything, my thoughts directly on Bastion are that this weapon is just a fun variety weapon for just chill, casual play. I wouldn't think to take this thing into Heroic Sundial with me. I wouldn't think to take this into any kind of endgame PvP activity should one ever release, unless there are changes made beyond the date of this recording to that weapon. And honestly, I think I'm okay with that. Personally, I think I'm okay with the weapon sitting as kind of a, how do I say it? Kind of like just a fun variety weapon to use. We have a lot of weapons that are already meta that kind of just are like boss busting and, shield breaking. We have anti-barrier. We have unstoppable mods, and that's the root of a deeper problem that might get discussed at another time. But we're talking about Bastion today, so let's check the weapon out. What's its perks? What does this thing do? What's it supposed to do? So its intrinsic perk is Saint's Fists. You charge the gun to fire 3 spreads of kinetic slugs. The spreads come in about like 4 or 5 or 6 shots in almost like a hexagon. Anybody? Hammer forge rifling, it increases the range. In my opinion, it doesn't really do much for the range. And I'll show some gameplay at the end of this video. I don't really think that this is much of a range weapon. Liquid coils, slower building charge for higher damage. Now, its impact damage, I will say, is pretty nice. If you can get in close enough without getting stomped out or beaten down, this weapon can have some boss busting potential, but it's very situational. And in that higher tier of gameplay, in that end game PvP aspect, you don't want situational, you want consistency. So that's why I don't believe that this weapon will be used widely in endgame PvP, or PvE, sorry. Breakthrough, it's a trait custom to this weapon. A portion of this weapon's damage bypasses elemental shields. Now, I haven't done the math on this yet. I'm sure Dado is going to do the math on this, but I'm not sure exactly how much of the weapon's damage bypasses the shields. Though, oftentimes, I'm finding, whenever I was running this in Gambit, I was finding I was breaking shields more often than not with just one slug. However, it then took almost the entire magazine to take down whatever I was fighting, if it wasn't rank and file. Composite stock slightly increases stability, slightly increases handling speed. That's it. This is Bastion. It's a fusion rifle. We haven't seen anything really different from this in the past, other than this is a fusion rifle that almost hits like a shotgun in a way. You'll see what I mean whenever you see the video of gameplay at the end of this. Now, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how I feel in regards to, you know, like PvP wise. So PvP, once again, it's a situational weapon. You could have fun with it. It's a great weapon to have fun with, but it's not something that I would say should be ran in competitive, or I would willingly run in, you know, any kind of competition matches, anything like that. Gambit, I ran it through Gambit first and foremost, just because I was curious to see, hey, maybe this weapon has some kind of hidden shining point. And that's not to say it doesn't have its shining points. I definitely like utility weapons. I think it's really cool that we have a kinetic fusion rifle for the first time ever. However, I don't necessarily think it's going to get used widely as an end game alternative to something like, say, say something like Acreus or, you know, Izanagi or anything like that. It's not that level. I would say this weapon sits at maybe like a middle tier exotic. But that's just it. Exotic weapons, yeah, they're supposed to be powerful, but at the same time, they're called exotic because they are just different than other weapons. They're different than legendaries. They have something that makes them unique. They have something that makes them exotic. And that's always just how I've interpreted the phrasing exotic. There's something that adds some kind of unique mix-up to the gameplay. So without further ado, I think I'll just show some video footage here. And I wanted to just give a quick shout out to Say No to Rage, Glad, Lono, Obi Katie Cat. Well, Say No to Rage and Lono are the same person. Wow, that's awkward. And everybody else in the community that was working incredibly hard throughout the week. I mean, like, legitimately working day and night to try and get this solved for the community. And once again, this is not a video talking about how I feel regarding the fact this was the quest reward or receiving a roadmap reward 2 weeks before it was out. A lot of those thoughts are over on my Twitter at SinTrigger, and some of those thoughts are even going to be possibly in this podcast upcoming this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet. I'm still on the fence, and we'll see how that goes. But if this was a video that you guys were kind of looking for that, I'm sorry, that's not how we roll here. We're looking at the content as presented weapon-wise. So without further ado, we'll show some gameplay footage, guys, and I hope you all have a nice day. Be sure to catch me at twitch.tv/SinTrigger, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.